Today, I'm going to be looking at a theory I've been having for months. Months and months. And that is, are DC archenemies actually related? Now, what I mean by related, for those who don't know, you have brothers and sisters, siblings, father and mothers, uncles and aunts, cousins, great-grandfathers, great-great-great, and more. But we're not looking at any of that. We're just going to be looking at the more interesting one, distant relatives. Now, for those who don't know what a distant relatives are essentially, they're related to you, but they come from a different family. A great example would be Barry Allen and, the Allen family and the Dawn family. They're distant relatives. It's actually kind of cool. Now, before anybody says, no, there's no way they could be distant relatives, maybe you might be wrong. So we're going to first start out with this. We're going to be first looking at the characters who were born chronologically. So at first hands, chronologically, we have time. Some of you might say, why not Hafsat or Black Adam? They came in ancient Egypt. Watan came in during the prehistoric times. So if you watch any of the Black Lion's videos, he said in his Vandal Savage videos, especially Legend of Tomorrow, where he says that Vandal Savage was in prehistoric times, not Egyptian times. So it makes sense to a certain point. So Vandal Savage is not going to be in this video, by the way. Because for those who don't know, Watan is the archenemy of Dr. Fate. Hafsa is the archenemy of Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Black Adam is, I would actually say Black Adam is the archenemy of Shazam. Don't know why people say it's Dr. Savannah. I guess people are crazier than I thought. So anyways, let's begin. So, Watan is the first one in the family. It makes sense because he's in prehistoric times, the others are not. So he's a person of the past. Then, because in the comics, Watan was actually a woman who eventually got powers and eventually constantly changed genders all the time before turning into just a straight up male. So he's the first one up. The next one up is Hafsat and Black Adam. Black Adam and Hafsat came at a very similar time. So both Hafsat and Black Adam got powers eventually. Whereas Hafsat was cursed himself, Black Adam got the magical powers. That's right. Then, judging on memory here, because I know the characters I'm using. So essentially, they created the Cheetah Tribe. Again, this is just based on memory. I know who I'm going to be talking about. And now we're in the present day. Okay. So the present day guys are going to be Joker, Lex Luthor, Cheetah, Barbara Minerva, Black Manta, White Canary, Merlin, Crystal Frost, Tobias Wales, not Deathstroke, Atana Crane, Major Force, maybe not Major Force, Simon Stagg, and I believe that is it. I think I might be missing some few people, but we're gonna get into the confusion parts later. So yeah, now these guys could be considered related, but from different families. That would actually be really cool. You see, Joker is the distant relative of Lex Luthor. It would make sense because all the characters I mentioned, the majority of them are delusional. They're mentally insane, and it would make sense that their ancestors would be Hafsat, Black Adam, and Watan. Now let's get into the time traveling villains, Kronos and the Reverse Flash. Again, these are the only ones I know I'm using so far. Now the thing about it, Kronos, is that I don't know what timeline he's from, other than say he's from the future. They never established, so I'm just going to assume he's from the 25th century. I'm going to assume both Reverse Flash and Chronos are from the 25th century. So what's cool about this theory is that Wotan's ancestors are Joker, Lex Luthor, Cheetah, Reverse Flash, Chronos, Hopset, Black Adam, the others, because it would make sense. Reverse Flash, maybe his ancestor was the Joker. I know in the comics his ancestor is Cobalt Blue, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense when you really think about it. Cobalt Blue is Barry Allen's brother. Doesn't make sense that that Reverse Flash is his ancestor, is his descendant. It doesn't make sense. But I mean, this is DC Comics. We're talking about confusion a lot. So basically, the only ones I did not mention are Sinestro and Malefic. These guys would be kind of confusing for a bit, because they're aliens. I originally wanted to do Doom Patrol and the Legion of Superheroes, but that would just make things so much more confusing. I think it's better we just talk about the main DC villains like Joker and Reverse Flash and Sinestro. I think that would make sense. But yeah, it would make now you could say that Sinestro and Malefic are not related to Joker at all. But at the same time, you're like, it could potentially happen. I mean, in DC, you do get stuff like that. Like there was even a Hawkman incarnation that was actually a Kryptonian. So, it's possible it could happen. So, I would actually say yes, maybe Sinestro and Malefic are distant relatives of the Joker, Lex Luthor, or Cheetah. Another thing I forgot to mention was that the Dawn family had something called the Blue Gem, which was kind of like the Speed Force, just enough, but not like it. So I think that what happened with the comics is that the Sinestro Corpse, well, like I said, when Hopset and Black Adam, maybe even Wotan if he visited Egypt for a time, created the Cheetah Tribe, they created a gem, a blue gem, that in the 25th century could come. So when one of the Dawns had the power of that, which will be Malcolm Dawn in this case, Eobard Dawn would be given the negative Speed Force. However, the blue gem, a part of it, released an alien entity known as the Parallax entity, which eventually evolved and created the Sinestro Corpse. If all this is confusing, I apologize, I'm confused as well. But I mean, we're talking about DC here. Some of the stuff they do is mega confusing. So, if all of you are confused, I know, I'm confused as well. But yeah, eventually, when their Sinestro Corpse was created, well, at least the Yelling Ring was created, I should say, the gem was also able to create something else. A toxin that would just make you laugh so hard. This toxin is really powerful. Obviously, you know what I'm talking about, the Joker toxin. And it also would somehow grant you, like, magical power. So, basically, what I'm getting at here is that, Joker, Lex Luthor, Cheetah, Reverse Flash, Sinestro, Merlin, White Canary, Malefic, Hopset, Wotan, Tobias Wales. Basing on memory, I think. Oh yeah, Supernova. He's also from the 20th century, so again, I guess it would make sense. Who else? Chronos. Oh, Black Manta. I forgot to mention Black Manta. So, basically the DC arch enemies of like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Shazam, Martian Manhunter, Black Canary, Green Arrow, Booster Gold, Firestorm, pretty much the Justice League. Basically, their arch enemies are technically considered to be family, are technically family members. universe from each other. You can argue, but then wait a minute, would this mean that the Justice League members are related? Yes. This will also mean that the DC heroes are also distant relatives. It wouldn't make sense if they were brothers or sisters, because then that would tie into the whole, well, okay, so are they Kronian? Are they from the 25th century? Or are they essentially from prehistoric times? It's much more confusing, but I think it makes sense. Or even father, son, or daughters, whatever, any like uncles or aunts or cousins. That's confusing, but distant relatives are not, because it would definitely make sense. It would make sense that they are essentially distant relatives from one another. Like also ancestor and descendants, like Joker, Lex Luthor, Cheetah, Sinestro, Black Manta, Merlin, White Canary. All of those characters can be considered distant relatives, even Tobias Whales, Simon Stagg, and Major Force as well. I forgot to mention that in this video. All of those characters would be considered, and Atomic Crane, I forgot to mention, are considered to be distant relatives. Their ancestors, like people from their past, will be considered Hofstad, Black Adam, and Wotan. Their descendants would be considered the Reverse Flash and Chronos, or at least any other time-traveling villain. So again, this is just a theory. If DC actually does this, well, maybe my theory came correct. Maybe these guys are meant to be related. Maybe these characters were always meant to be together, to be related. I think, first of all, I'm not sure where he comes from, past, present, or future, but still. It would be really cool if DC actually retcons the universe and says, hey, one of Reverse Flash's ancestors is actually the Joker, or Hofstad. I think that would be really cool, as it would now make it much more interesting. We're actually going to get an actual origins to the Joker. Again, if you disagree with this theory, completely fine. Respect my opinion. Post what you think about this theory in the comments. Please subscribe to my channel if you are new. Click the like button, click that notification bell. Please share this video, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.